divine couple with us today. I'm really excited. Uh, this is my the first show we're doing today, and for all of those of you who don't know, it is 2/2/2021, so it's a special day. And as I look at my computer clock, which is on New York time, it's 2:02, so something's going on. Yeah, so we have this beautiful couple with us today. I'm going to wait just about 30 more seconds to make sure that everybody gets on board. It looks like all of the platforms are up except for one. So let me just take a moment to say to everybody, stay in your own lane. There's a lot of stuff going on out there. To thine own self be true, do you, and that's the best thing you can do for everybody else. And also, I want to thank everybody for your continued love and support and contributions that allow us to keep doing this by the seat of our pants every day. And that's not a complaint. That's just how the 5D works. We don't have big savings accounts in 5D. We just run on present energy. We are the currency. So, yeah. So these are our two friends. We haven't had them on Soul Speaks 5D. So we kind of got, you know, how we love doing things spontaneously here. And so when we came on, we have, what, by the way, it's Miriam and Issah. Okay. And they're over in Ibiza. I'm Spaniard. I should know how to say this. They're over in Spain right now doing the good work. But they are going to, they have, they're artists. They have some musical expression. So we're going to open up the show with their inspiration, and I'm going to hand it over to you. Welcome, both of you, to Soul Speaks 5D. I feel very much a kindredness in the field that we're containing together. So I want to thank you for that.
Thank you.
Solo.
Hello, siblings. It's really an honor for us to be here. Yes, and we start with some sound. So maybe if you're ready, close your eyes, because it's all about the inward focus at the moment, or pretty much, that we really turn inwards where our true being resides. And I will sound a bit for you.
I thought you were just getting started. That was beautiful.
Thank you.
We've had some people on that do different types of I guess, toning, or I know two people that do something similar to yours. It's like between, it's not really toning and it's not singing. It's like in the middle,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, Valley, Maine does it, and our sister Z out of Arizona. I play it on the remixes sometimes, so I'm gonna have to cut this piece out or look for some more of your stuff and put it into the Soulogy remix where we share everyone's expressions. That was
Mm-hmm.
beautiful. How did you guys come together in this incarnation? I mean, because obviously it looks like you guys have been together for a long, long, long time.
Yes. Well, dear brother, it's an honor to be here. At first, I'm very grateful to share space with you today and really grateful for the space and the time you take to share and putting out that platform, sharing that stuff, and really blessings to that. So, yeah, me and Miriam, we met 2014 again in this lifetime, in this time space. And since then, we went through a journey.
What a ride.
Oh, it was. You mean you didn't
Very
just?
exactly put.
You mean you didn't just meet and everything was perfect after
No,
Exactly.
brother, I mean,
Heroes Gamos calling, right?
yeah.
that?
I
Yeah,
mean, on the many stuff you share, it's like exactly that. Also, what we really experience as well. It's divine union, and it's to heal that divine masculine, and or to heal that wounded masculine, to become that divine masculine, and work with the inner feminine, and she is that archetypal feminine of mine. It's and that means a lot. That means a lot of shadow work. That means that you are naked there,
yeah.
and we met at the Eden Street at the place. I was just, I was playing football in my young years, soccer,
Uh-huh.
like professionally. I was really into it till 20, and with 21 and 22 I stopped playing. So I came alive. I became myself again. So this football player personality just was not there anymore. So I went through my path, and the awakening started, and then I met her again in Zurich. I was working behind the bar, serving the people drinks. But I was living in a van already, and really connecting to the earth, and really had the call to go out through nature
And to the fire.
and to
Yeah.
the fire.
Mm.
So I was living in the van, and I had these brothers, Adi and Florian and Alexis, who had there an atelier, and it was a nice vibe there already. So I could stay there and could park my car there, my van. And then I met her.
Yeah, and it was from the beginning, like I feel it is often with heroes, Gamos couples, it was really that question, do you now surrender or not? I mean, again and again in every relationship, it's all about surrendering to the process. And yeah, we were really drawn to the forest. It was clear for me. I was still working with so-called drug addicts
Mm.
or in psychiatry as a nurse. So I always studied being human and what is about. Why is this world turning as it is? Since young years. So I was partly awake always. He as well. But then really the process started, and like in a nutshell, the last 6 years we were mostly living nomadic and in the forest, like just with a plastic tarp, just a fire, like really down to earth, so to say. And our
Yeah.
medicine was really, wow, we've been stripped apart thousandfold, and it was these initiations, it's so beautiful, it's so real, it's something, everybody has its own beautiful unique way, but for us it was that, and meditation and going into catharsis, into states where you just yeah,
Wow.
I mean, yeah, it's many things to say, but after all, it's really about what we so truly now also we can say embody is that Mother Earth, the organic. It's our medicine, and it's just logic, it makes sense. It's not just something, a nice fluffy concept.
Yeah.
Mother Earth in herself is a logical, biological being, an entity, a beautiful mother. And yeah, that's what to say more. The fire,
That's
it's the
that's
fire.
amazing. Let me digest that for a second. So, because I can relate to the energy of what you're saying in several ways. So I'm a little bit intrigued, and I'm very impressed. Just my own personal opinion, but so part of it's because of what you're saying about the nature part, right? When I first woke up, I was homeless for 2 years, and I spent a lot of time in parks and in cemeteries and anywhere I could find
Mhm.
that, that atmosphere. So I really get what you're saying. I've never thought about it. Two people doing that.
Mm.
Okay. Then I also, um, so I understand the frequency and the potential when you're alone in that environment. Now there's two of you for 6 years. So, and then you have the Helioscamos thing going. So I can't even imagine. Like it would just seem that because if you're in the world, like Morgan and I, we don't go out much.
Mhm.
We just pretty much stay in the house and we go
Mhm.
sit outside and
Mhm.
so but even living in the city, even in a small town, you still get exposed to different frequencies, right? Like if you run up to the grocery store.
Mhm. Mhm.
So I can't imagine. And of course, you made reference to it. I talk about our experiences. I can't even imagine on top of that being in a natural environment for an extended period of time, and then also going through the things we go through. I would think we'd have ETs and elementals standing around our tent every night. So
Yeah,
Uh,
I
was
well,
get
kind
that.
like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's
Mm.
it's nice said how you say it, brother.
Yes.
Of course, but this environment, what we were looking for, was not just there. I went there to the forest, but there came a lot of the normal world, and
Yes.
also my parents, my family, all
Mm.
of that
The
need to work,
confrontation.
and
Yeah.
we live in we were in Zurich in Switzerland. It was, you need to work, you need to pay the insurance. No,
Mm.
it's
Mhm.
like that. You need
Mhm.
to
Yeah.
pay every month, but
Really
I
straightforward.
I
Yeah.
never did know that because I was playing football and I was running with that. I was never so much in the system, so
Mm.
I just went through that fire, and I had to call to light this fire
Yeah.
and to
Mm.
clean, and then in the process it was going through nature, with first with the van, and then staying there for 2 or 3 days, going back, working there, some work.
Yeah.
I could work in a bar, and
Also a lot of back and forth.
it's
Also, when that's also what I wanted to mention.
it's also a lot of letting go. Many
Mhm.
many things
Mhm.
really it was like letting go
Mm.
all. it
Yeah,
was
like boom, boom, boom.
it was many things. And also, well, I have also a son, Atanas.
Okay.
So I had this connection with Carolina, the mother of him, just before I met Miriam.
Mm.
So it was also connected, and in the beginning very 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 present also in our meeting as well.
Mm.
Yeah.
So, and then we found that way, and we really decided at one point, for myself, in my consciousness, I really decided that now I go the way, and I go
Mm.
the way with Miriam as well. And that was
So
also,
so how long after you reconnected in this incarnation, how long was it before y'all made the choice to go into the forest?
It was right from the start. It was just after we met. He said, "Do you want to join me once at the fire?" And I said, "Yes." And it already made a big yes, just before
Mm.
we met. I opened up to womb healing, sacred sexuality. I was coming for myself. in contact with that, and then he came. I mean, that's how you call it in, but it was not at all what I expected it to be, for sure. But the mirror is there.
That's what Morgan always said.
Yeah,
She
it
said,
is.
I wasn't planning on some homeless hobo.
Yeah, exactly.
So you actually, because obviously you're both very connected. I can feel it. So you actually went through some ceremony. Were you consciously calling him in, or were you just clearing?
What's calling in, you mean? Like,
Well, like you said, a couple of womb ceremonies, and then he
yes.
came. So you
Mhm.
were consciously
I
calling
guess.
out to him. Yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
I guess so. When I now look back, that I really was ready, and also the Christ consciousness. When we met,
Mhm.
we had like hours. Yeah, I still had an apartment at this time. We had
Yeah.
hours of eye gazing, and
Wow.
it was just. And before Christ consciousness, I knew it as a concept, but I
Right.
wasn't raised religious or anything, just free. And they came in, they stepped in and said, here we are again to support you, however. And we just felt wow. And we had really like deep yeah, union
From the
from the
beginning.
beginning. And but then for sure the things come up, that must be cleaned. So it was, and for me, I also have a strong mind. I'm the
Uh-huh.
bigger mind here in the relationship. So I always was also discerning and analyzing, and it
Yeah.
always go deeper. I'm never satisfied. It's always constant evolution for me.
And Issa, or are you more calm, cool, and collected, or what?
I I
Seems so.
I I really in this process I went really inside of myself,
Yeah.
and I listened to her because I
Yes.
know that's the divine feminine talking.
Yeah. I
And
can totally relate.
I know, brother. Yeah, yes, that's it. I'm so thankful what you are sharing, and
Mm.
that's all about many things. What you say is so important that we share that stuff, and
Yes.
it was for me for sure also a lot to get. I mean, the awakening process, you start to know what's going on, and I felt just the call. I feel Holy Spirit
Yeah.
was present there, and the fire, and I started to do ceremonies, what came to me, to clean myself, to clean my etheric body, to
Yeah.
clean my physical body.
Mm.
And I start to work to make washings with the holy ashes from the fire I did. And I would clean my energetic points, my chakras.
Mhm.
And yeah, we had also many nights. So, it's to also to live with that fire. It became more and more really. I live like this now.
Mm.
I'm
Mm.
keeping that fire, brother, for Mother Earth,
Yeah.
and for Mother, Father, Creator, for Holy Spirit, that we now really become that true nature, that human. The human is the hero, brother.
Yes.
It's like this. The human is the hero,
Yeah.
and that's about. And
Yeah.
and that's what I feel so much when we live with nature and we live with the fire on the ground. That I feel the human there so present.
And
Yes.
that's the medicine in the end. It's so simple and yet not. And we also feel it was all about, and that's for many siblings now, about integration of all our incarnations, parallel or past, or how you want to call it, and really come into full potential, because we just need it now at this time. And so we remembered a lot, for sure. Like India, we feel connected to every old culture you can imagine.
Yes.
It's like, oh, sometimes I don't know if I'm first time here and just downloaded it all, or if I lived here for million times on earth. Really, it's like, phew,
Isn't
it's
that strange though? It's
really.
like it, I know I get so much of what y'all are saying. It's like blowing my mind. Now I know why I built a big fire last night behind the house, and Morgan kept throwing more logs on it, and I thought the trees were going to catch fire, but they're. But what you were saying, these things come in, and it used to be, oh, I lived there in a past life, or but then you start to realize, first of all, it doesn't matter. Second of all, it's the information that's coming in, the remembrance is coming in with code and
Mhm.
so on. We've noticed that when we travel around, we've traveled quite a bit nomadically. Um, and we're about to do a little bit more of it. And we recognize now where we're going and pretty much know why we're going. We don't know specifically, but we know it involves other souls. We know it involves grid points in both, an acquiring of code, but also sending code out. And speaking of that, so much of the story I don't have to ask because I know exactly what you've gone through because you said it. In terms of like, the estrangement from family and the pressure from, oh, you need to be normal, and but have you noticed when you're together, are you are you noticing that people are attracted to you? Like whether they know it or not, or conscious of it or not, are you getting that type of you having that type of experience where people are like seeking you out and that kind of thing?
Yes, yes and no. It is like, in my way also, especially, but in our way, all has to happen organically.
Yes.
So everything is interconnected. Also, me now talking here, we now talking here. I felt it since long time that I want to talk with you one day, but I knew it's going to develop organically, and
Mm.
now we have our website. We now come a bit out, so but just organically because it's now time and we are ready. I had long time a bit problems with accepting how the world goes, so I denied a bit the ways of the world, and we also had to let go first completely of it, completely of the money thing, of the fears, of everything that's society has as its rules still in this 3D matrix. So, but now, yeah, we already also holding ceremonies with sounding and circles around the fire, and now it's all a bit different with the flu. Um, but yes, we are here and we are really opening up to also work online and all these things. And for sure, I mean, what you originally say, it's like when two holes, we feel more and more like two wholes coming together, then
Yeah.
something third is created, and for sure that attracts, that builds the
Yeah.
circle where we really can begin just to share our codes. It's like it's getting more and more so directly and telepathically and magnetically, and it's like whew, it's speeding up in that sense, in the linear sense, how we feel it.
Well, you could say on the when we were out and being on the way, we attracted for sure siblings who recognize us, and we
Mhm.
meet them and we share nice moments.
Mhm.
That happens for sure, and I'm so grateful for these moments. Also many, maybe with people who live on the street, yeah, with
Mhm.
siblings
Mhm.
who would live on the street in Zurich. And
Mhm.
it's just a simple, it's the
Mhm.
simple
Yes.
meetings as well.
Yeah.
Many stories is
Wow.
one story. It was in Brazil. We were there traveling for 3 months, and then at one day we were walking in the village, and me with my pants, and maybe I had a turban like to cover my head, and then one guy came with the metal, terrorista, terrorista, and he wants to hit my head. Yeah, yeah. And I was no, and I thought now I have this metal thing on my head, but then I kept it, and some other people came, and yeah, he was a little drunk, and I
Hmm.
mean, but
Bless the brother.
it blessings to him, but it was experience. He saw that, he
Mm.
felt some, I don't know,
Yeah.
and it was just at the next day we walking the same village. You see two
Rastafaris.
Rastafari brothers. It was Christmas. Jesus, Maria, and they went even on the ground, and they come and we hug each other. Four people there in the middle of the street, and
So much
Wow.
true polarity.
I
it's
bet y'all get some of that though, too.
it's
Yeah.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
So Issah, you made reference to you listened to her. I've probably talked to 70, 75 couples on the show, and then met some in person, and that seems to be pretty much how it works. The feminine energy leading the way, the feminine energies pulling in the information. At least that seems to be the way it works. And somehow or another, we're plugged into her. but it's almost like that she goes first and then he comes and then she goes again and then he comes. Did you, Issah, you mentioned the fire, and I'm all fire, so I relate to you. But you mentioned the fire, and then you made the reference to her. Did you have any? And I'm asking this question for other people. Did you have any difficulty accepting? Or let me put it this way: did you have any difficulty relinquishing or giving up this false masculine power? Did you discover things about yourself that you didn't know, that you weren't aware of, how deep the programming went and things like that?
Yes, of course, brother. This is all about. I mean, in the beginning, for mostly it's the sexuality, of course, where there is a lot of distortion. And
Yeah,
I'm born in 1992, so I feel all the pornography stuff, the internet. There was a lot of distorting
yeah,
in my mind, and I had to go for sure through that process. And I know, and then for sure I saw things who they were really not part of me. I saw that
yeah,
that's not me, and there was a lot of like this for sure. I
yeah,
mean, masturbation, that's
yeah,
addictive, like that's like that. I experienced it, and in as a child, is
yeah,
already really present. Here I was, playing in a football team and stuff like that.
yeah.
That's
Macho man.
Yeah, I mean, the macho. I was never like that. That's
Yeah,
maybe I also stopped after to stop that football thing.
yeah,
It was for sure also coming from there, the experience and more deeper traumas of the
yeah,
behavior of
yeah.
the typical
Mm.
football player being.
Yes,
It's and there is all this over sexuality. This
it's
is all. It's all against it's the feminine principle is just not present there.
yeah. This is
And
the great. This is, by the way, the greatest answer that I've ever gotten from a man on that question. This is the greatest answer because, to me, what you just described is the core of it all. Like, I was really referring to all the layers out here, right? You know, like the man's always got to fix things, or the man's got to do this, or he expects that from her. But you just you just tackled the core of all the patterns and behaviors, because that's been let me just ask you, both of you. So when it came to sacred sexuality, Morgan had downloaded for 15 or 20 years, among other things. So when we started to spend time together, we were both celibate, and then we remained celibate for over a year. But when things started to progress, it was very difficult for me because I didn't have all of that stuff worked out that you just talked about. But what I did get was that she knew something that I didn't. So I would ask her, "Do you know what we're supposed to do? Because this is driving me crazy. You're beautiful, and I just want to, like, but I can't. At first I was told I couldn't. Then I knew I couldn't. Then I said, what the hell do I do now? And I asked her, like, do you know what we're supposed to do? And she said, no, but I know what we're not supposed to do, because everything that we've done, all of us, was based on basically what Issah was talking about. So, Miriam, did you know? I have a feeling you were holding space for sacred sexuality. Did you know what was coming? Because I got to tell everybody, sacred sexuality, it's nothing like where we came from, and it's absolutely, like, I can't even tell you, in the last 2 weeks, I'm still not on planet because we've had 6 or 7 or 8 nights of just mind blowing sacred sexuality, which again is nothing like we think. But did you know? Had you downloaded? You mentioned Christ consciousness? You mentioned sacred sexuality.
Mhm.
Did you have an idea of what was coming?
In a sense, yes. And yet, when I now look back, it already changed so many times. As you
Yeah,
say, it's never what we think. And also for me, the divine feminine represents also sensitivity,
yeah,
sensuality, and this is in everything. So I commune often with nature. And this to me, I cannot call it sexuality, but I'm just immersed.
yes,
I'm dispensed in all of this, and I connect to animals and the elementals, and we connect there together. Um, yeah, I could tell now so many things again, but yes, I had the downloads, and yet what I also wanted to say is I also had to surrender because I was downloading it, and yet he was mirroring me just the perfect way as I was mirroring him. So I also had to see my feminine wound, although I knew I also had to surrender, give him his time, and
yeah,
especially give me the time. So and that's the beauty of this process.
yeah.
And celibacy, for sure, it's also was also for us a lot of
Is that right?
times. Yeah,
Now,
yeah,
did y'all go through a celibate period as a couple,
yeah,
or you
yeah, yeah,
did?
yeah. We did. Yeah.
Yeah, because Morgan has mentioned that before, and of course we did it. It just was that way, like she knew,
Hmm.
and I was too wounded to even argue. I mean, I just knew who she was, and I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna. But I've heard her mention on a couple of shows where we've actually gone on a show and talked about these things, and she said that it's a good idea, at least to consider for a couple to be celibate in a relationship for a period of time.
Hmm.
Yes.
And I
And
absolutely agree with this because the for the at least I can speak for the men, and I think Issah answered this. I'll just add a little bit to it, but the programs run so deep that we don't even realize that it's affected our behavior way beyond intimacy.
Mhm.
And
Mm. Yeah.
it's nice. I don't know how it's gone for y'all, but I know that when, like you said, Miriam, it's never the same. The same thing never happens twice.
Mhm.
It's always something different,
Mhm.
and it can be multidimensional. It can be apparitions. It can be all kinds of stuff. But over, I want to say, definitely over the last 2 or 3 weeks. And I'd say if you go back to December, there was some stuff building up too. But has there been an expansion of your experience just across the board, sacred sexuality, ascension, personal awareness, whatever, over the last 2 or 3, 4 weeks, especially in regard to the emergence, let's say, of the divine masculine? Does that make sense? Any of that?
Mhm. Yeah, for sure. It's getting more and more intense. I mean, here on Ibiza, we have a lot of sun. And now today it was already almost like a summer's day. So the sun codes that stream in here are so intense. And
Hmm.
we are here since now a bit over a year. And just that we feel fueled our ascension process so much. So to connect to the sun, for me, I'm more and more really like not a worshiper, not in that sense, but of the sun, of the sacred father principle as well. And it amped up. Yes, it's all intensive. And I always say to Isa, wow, like 2 years ago, if it would have been intense like today, I would have
Yeah,
been lying flat.
yeah,
And so you feel it, and more you feel that you integrate much more fastly, and you just take it and you go. And if there's a trigger, you see it and you feel your emotions. But then it's also like, yeah, it's just much more flawless how it flows. And yeah, we also have a lot of galactic connection here on Ibiza. Like especially last year in the beginning, I saw really a fleet of ships. I talked at the fire and said, Galactic Federation of Light, I would love to see you like incarnated. That's what we human always want, although they're always there telepathically to talk with us and they're always around.
hmm.
And then this fleet started, and they were going into a dimensional door. And so it's like on so multi-layered, uh, in a multi-layered fashion now that these activations happen. And so I love to sleep a lot to really integrate and lay down. And that's also what the divine feminine and the mother is telling, like, you're doing enough just by being, and
Right.
just by integrating what is going on, just by evolving. And we are loved beyond our imagination. But now we begin to imaginate that, and that's how we build new earth, that we are this really new earth children, and are really here to now go through this process. And yeah, I still have triggers, what is going on in the world, sometimes get a bit angry when I look at the sky and it's a bit whitish. And
Are you
but
fired too? So, Esau was talking about the really that great answer, which was really rooted in the distortion of the masculine, which obviously has to be, had to be cleared and all that. What about for you from the feminine's perspective? You mentioned earlier that when you came together, there was the feminine distortions that you had to work through. Can you just give us a couple of examples, or what were the things that you really had to to bring into alignment in order for the relationship to expand?
Mhm. Yeah, the main that now comes, I mean, there are many things multifaceted as well, but it's the wound, the fear of abandonment. That's what I had really deeply ingrained. And so it was energetic back and forth between the two of us, because that's like positive, negative coming together. Then another layer comes up. And uh, so I began to see these patterns of him arguing like his father with my mother. So I began to see these roles we play and these patterns we play out, the ancestral patterns, our DNA, which plays in there. So it was really this wound of abandonment, of not being enough, not being beautiful enough,
Hmm.
being, yeah, all these things that are really deeply embedded in the feminine. And for me, it's always to really let go of this false, also spiritual feminine, because we are goddesses. And yet
Yeah,
I see there are also played out other distortions, other versions of something that is not really grounded, that is again serving the patriarchy, so to say, or the old
yeah,
systems, the old
or
ways.
yeah. I get what you're saying. I think what you're saying is uh, they are goddesses, but it's almost like using that power, but plugging in through the patriarchal system, like using it in a distorted way. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, this is cool. Now, what about Issah? Do you do you ever have like energetic separations, like whether you're physically removed from each other or not? Do you ever have periods where you each have to be alone?
Well, yeah, brother, yes. We had for sure definitely time, when we really also came together, and it was because we were living. Imagine we were always together. We were living
Always.
in a van, or then we were going for a travel to Brazil and India for 6 months, and
Hmm.
the other time we were in Switzerland and in a van living and always together. And
Yeah,
then we had some separations the last 2 years in the summer, just for 2 weeks.
yeah,
That's the
That was the
longest.
longest,
Mhm.
but otherwise we were always together
yeah,
next to each other. And, and there we had a lot of, yeah, I mean, in India was strong, strong, strong stuff going on. There we were really going each other on the,
Yeah, we fight it even.
we
I mean,
fight it.
I always won, but
You
I think that's
strong
how it
and me
works, isn't it? That's
physically
pretty
even.
much how it works.
yeah.
No, it's what it was. Yeah, it's a journey, and I feel it as we go the process. And I mean, I don't know if you and Morgan experience what in the relationship, in the sacred relationship, we start to feel how we mirror our patterns,
Yeah,
and they get obvious more and more, and
yeah,
they come up again and again. But then it's always more and more calm, and we can
yeah,
realize more, but the ego and all that stuff wants to come up. And
It needs to, yeah.
yeah, and
Yeah.
also with that healing of the divine masculine, of the, with that healing, it was a lot of, it comes a lot with that.
Yes.
I mean, just to touch in a not non-judgmental
Yeah.
state, just to be and to start to feel all that feminine aspects. What we now to we know we get vulnerable, and that's what I felt in my process. And I
Yeah.
had to go really to feel, because she's so sensitive, she's so open. The
Mm.
masculine is more like, "Pff," and I'm here,
Yeah.
and the
It's
feminine, and
yeah.
it's
You're a very good explainer, as the old President Bush used to say. He's a good explainer.
yeah.
Yeah, I really like what you said because I get what you're saying. It's not so much the words; I can see it all. But you're right. First of all, it's interesting too because you're in a relationship where you know the other person's going to handle their own stuff, and as time goes on, there's less and less and less projection. And it's so interesting to me because over the last few months, we don't even have to talk about it. It's just happening, right? Like you can just feel it. There's no attachment, there's no resistance, there's no judgment. And then the thing that I really liked about what Issah said, there's not there's almost like a role reversal. And what I mean by that is the divine attributes of the other gender, like she is my divine feminine, right? In the flesh. So those qualities start to come out of myself. And one of the things that I think you were referring to me was, like you said, they're quieter, right? They're more sensitive, and the men were louder, right? Like you said, uh, it's interesting to be able to be that feminine attribute of allowing, just allowing without saying anything. I think that's been a big one. And I think that's a feminine attribute because that's really what they've been doing. So now, whether it's with Morgan or, somebody else, say a female friend or whatever, there's something's happened uh, where I'm able to just hold space, I guess is what you call it. And it's very rewarding because it's taught me that I don't have to say anything. I have a saying, you know, it's kind of started with Morgan. She said, if you know something, why do you have to say it? And I thought, wow, that's really profound because if you really know something, you don't have to say anything, which is good for me because if I don't know something, I should keep my mouth shut anyway, right? But it's really interesting how when you're holding space and allowing a person to, without judgment, go free flow wherever they're going to go with it, right? Whatever's going to happen, you learn a lot. You learn a lot about yourself, and you learn as a man. I've learned about the feminine things I didn't have. I had no idea. I had no idea because I never stopped to really examine it. So yeah, that was very enlightening what you had to say there. So what about God? You've been so open. How I just have to ask, how did it happen when you first ran into each other? Which one of you made the first move?
I mean, it was pretty much, for me, I was there. I was in the part. You could see I was like the hippie, totally the hippie in the bus and everybody like this. But I in my presence, I know what I was doing already somehow. I felt it. And I was in this bar, and I remember she come and she get the drink, and then because there is Alexis in this bar, and he's the artist, and he brought all these special glasses. And then there was actually a golden uh, grail.
A bit like a grade, kind of.
It was like
For
a
me,
grail,
it
like
was like a
plastic, but it
grade
was like golden. And she, can I have this?
from
We
you.
never bought
Yeah.
the Christ consciousness and the grail and all of that. that
Mm.
stuff was not there yet. We just met, and then I gave her this cup, and she
Yeah, for me it
it was a
was.
night, and
Yeah, and it's also, yeah, it's beautiful. I mean, it's we all begin to read our life and our patterns, and all is symbolically, all is energy, and all is just what it is, and all is just perspective. So we interpret our life as we want and as we feel, and yet there are always codes. And so for me it was really this holy grail. And he was 22 and I was 33 when we met. And but you begin to read these things afterwards, step by step. It's like a puzzle that you put together, you know, the different incarnations, the different energies you feel drawn to and connected to, the family you feel there, in so many different
yeah,
cultures.
and definitely also like the just the bubble Zurich, you know, you live there, and all there is a scene, and you know the people. It's
Mm.
and you are it's we were after at one point we really for myself we really went and decided
Mm.
like we now go our path
Mm.
and we have
Yeah.
something to do.
But again and again,
And
it's
yeah,
nothing. I mean, that's what I really had to learn to surrender to. It's nothing you can decide and then it just happens. It's again
Yeah.
and again, all goes circular organically, and you revisit the patterns again and the same
Yes.
situations, but it gets lighter and lighter, and then it gets dark again, and then you go back there in the womb of the mother, and there you brew, and there you spit out what you know. It's such deep, and this deepness in the black womb, like to also to work with the black light with. Yeah, I could now start, but I think it would take too long. But it's really, yeah, the divine feminine is just really the womb of creation, and it's birthing everything. So to go into the
Absolutely.
darkness, it's just fruitful, and there is really the most energy. Also it's out in space, like dark matter is where all
also I have
life is.
also many nights I just like an embryo, no clothes on, would lay on Mother Earth, and there
Hmm.
would be the darkest night.
Hmm.
Also in the outside, no
Covered in
moon,
ashes.
maybe covered in ashes,
Yeah.
laying somewhere under a tree.
Yeah,
Many
Yeah.
I
brother.
can relate to this. This is
That's what I just went this way. I could say in this process really I want to clean, and I want to recognize my true self. I want to be that Christed blueprint incarnated in that physical body, and that
yeah.
was just all my consciousness, my heart telling to me now go that way, and I could listen.
Mm.
And most important, it's also it's not she's my other whole. I
Yeah.
need to I need to be I need to go my way. And
Yeah.
that was also a little bit the time. She's pretty strong, and she has that to say. She has many things.
Slightly.
Yeah, and I had at one point, because I'm so feminine within. I'm very strong masculine, but I
Yeah. Yeah.
experience that many times also when I'm outside in nature, this indigenous, really archetypal form of human being.
Mm.
But this I experience for myself maybe still more. More brothers come into it,
Yeah.
but I felt also with her then at one point that I need to really also speak out and
Mm.
being present, and
Mhm.
sometime maybe say also yes, now is okay.
Mhm. Because I'm a talker, as you can imagine. I mean,
But I know her, I
yeah.
know, and it's also so great that she speaks a lot.
Yeah.
Then I hear it over and over again, so I can go really into it. Maybe sometimes it's not so good, or my ego would come. No, why you are always like this, or why you say I could not? No, I say no. But I can go
But
inside and
you
say,
know,
Ram Ram, yeah, you are right always. Kalima, Durga Jai,
there's
Durga Jai. I can
Mor-
say,
Morgan sent me a post that a lady by the name of Agnes Lindhout, Lindhout, she put it out 2 days ago, January 31st, and it's entitled "The Black Goddess," and it's a very well written, and it talks about the ferocity, the fierceness of this love, like the Kali, like the Kali energy.
Mhm.
And when you're talking about what you were just describing, Issah, that's what I see. Like they've been quiet, they knew who they were as much as they could in the matrix, in the patriarchal, and then they stepped into their power, and it's created a whole chain reaction, which is primarily the good stress or the good pressure it puts on the masculine to discover things in himself about himself that he didn't know he was. It's very interesting to me how this thing is working in a pattern, and
Right.
how it's
I
Mhm.
in.
resonate totally with that. What you're saying, that is
Mhm.
always, that's always, it is in our process, in our relationship.
Yeah,
It's always, it's like this.
It's perfect. It's perfect.
And
Although we can
it's
see.
that game, and
Mhm.
we have that growth. It's that's amazing. That's, I
And
feel that too.
And you know what always comes through since some minutes, I guess, is really like this returning, like crystal clearness in the fire of transmutation. That what repeatedly came to me again when I stood on the ground, and didn't know where to go on the edge. And the other thing is really like coming back to this innocence, like to
yeah,
really acknowledge that we are innocent beings. The word is negatively, like how you say in English. I don't find the English word, but that we are innocent beings, and yet we have like still this pattern stored inside ourselves,
yeah,
which feel like really dark. And so to for humanity now is just really the time to look at it, and we see that humanity now goes through the dark night of the soul
right,
collectively. And it's just so beautiful, because I know that we all gonna work together more and more as a human family, because everyone has something to share and to give and to bring into the pot. And like for me, or for us, like this indigenous being, we are all indigenous. And also for us, Christ consciousness is not something from the church, it's not just something from the Essenes, it's not just something from Yeshua and Magdala or Mother Mary. It's really an indigenous pattern of being human here on earth, and it's connected to all indigenous people around the world. It's all the same in the end. Probably pardon, about the Kogis in Colombia. I mean, we feel really connected to them. They live like an indigenous way, and it's all connected. The four
You, that's also
directions.
what you
It's like
saying. The indigenous people, the Kogis or Darwakos, these four tribes who live in the Sierra Nevada, they would work with the Mama Coca. Why they work with Mama Coca? It's an ancient plant who since creation maybe on this planet Earth, and it's the spirit of Mama. Is the spirit of our Mother Earth. So they would always, when you get adult, you get the poporo, and you get that initiation, and for them, it's all about to listen to the mother. It's to listen to the feminine principle. What you were saying before,
mhm,
and they, for that for them, that's essential.
yeah,
And it's always present with them, and they have that still going, and that's also what really inspired me in my way, totally, that indigenous uh, the being, that human being. And I feel the Christ consciousness so much present in many tribes, also in the Lakota in North American.
mhm.
There was feminine principle, Mother
That's right.
Earth.
They all were. They had a grandmother's counsel or
Yeah,
auntie's counsel.
that's about,
Yeah,
it's time for the feminine. It's
yeah.
divine.
Well, I think one of the things that's definitely happening as the consciousness collectively expands is there's more compassion. I think that the taking things personal isn't as powerful as it was, say, 2 or 3 years ago. And I think part of the healing is understanding that it doesn't matter who you were, everybody was affected by the patriarchal.
yes,
So whether you're a masculine or feminine, you were playing the game
yeah.
unconsciously with
Mhm.
patriarchal, let's just say patriarchal programming. But so the taking it personal, if I think about my childhood, my dad's side of the family, very, very much a strong Mexican American family, deeply rooted in that culture, very deeply rooted in the patriarchal.
Mm.
So on one hand, my grandmother was the strongest one of them all, but the level of uh, expression or projection or verbalization that she had to go to in order to be heard was ridiculous. And
Mhm.
that was a imprint of that. So for someone like me who was very sensitive and sensitive to women, growing up, I didn't even know what was happening. I didn't respect her at the
Mhm.
level I respected the men. So there's some deep programming I think that these couples are working out, and I think that couples like yourself, I mean, I really don't even think we have to look at them. I think they're making such an impression energetically that they will be um, they will be looked to, as examples to emulate for not just couples but individuals,
Mhm.
because they are presenting a balanced feminine and masculine. And it's even more powerful because it's two separate physicalities.
Mhm.
You mentioned Christ consciousness several times, and I wanted to ask you, when you're together, or what does that feel like, look like, smell like, taste like? I mean, what is that like when you're sharing that together? What's that experience look like?
Mhm. I just can somehow say all the time because, as I said, for us, Christ consciousness is something really down to earth and up to heaven. So it is really the connection between heaven and earth, bringing heaven to earth. And really, it is just simplicity in being human, as well as being totally connected to the other realms, as we still call it, and looking behind the veil. So it's really making that connection to everything around you and seeing everyday life as you're teaching, and seeing God in everyone for sure, and seeing God in each other, communion with nature. And yeah, we really feel like also Europe has still a lot to heal with the church thing and everything. So that's really what we feel part of, to bringing back Christ consciousness into an understanding of, yeah, being indigenous, as I said, and being human in a grounded way, and not to really pray to anyone. Blessings. Not to pray to anyone above you. It's just, I mean, we are all just great beings of light. We are all masters walking this earth again. And so, but just humility.
Yeah,
It's really total. It's like surrendering to being human, totally and fully embodied, and with all that it brings with it. And for sure, doing the ascension process, and
yeah.
downloading more and more of that technology, so to
Mm,
say, and really going this way together. And the heart chakra, for sure,
yeah,
it's the center, it's the 0 point of creation. Maybe.
yeah.
Definitely, I feel you could also, or we can, put a concept over the Christ consciousness, and we can share about it. But I feel that Christ's consciousness is the masculine and the feminine energy as a human being, recognizing the structures, the psychology behind the human being now, and to reflect that with different kind of archetypes, what we have on the earth.
Mm,
And that's things what we talk about, and what you say, that's all about that. It's just, and we know what is Christ consciousness in our heart. It's just to be human.
yeah,
Mm,
It's about to take responsibility about
mm,
yourself.
mhm.
Is about to be in love with yourself, with your being,
yeah,
and
And to be humble with nature and all living beings. I mean, the beauty that we experience with animals, with elementals, it's beyond words. It's beyond words. I love to write. He goes shortly to the toilet. I love to write, and yet words can never express, and yet they are a way of trying to express what we experience when we really totally surrender ourselves. Yeah, with onto Mother Earth, on Gaia. It's like, I mean, I love her so much. I could cry now because I love her so deeply. She's, for me, one of the most beautiful women, so to say, that I know. For me,
Mm,
she's a living, breathing being.
yeah.
And yeah, this communion with everything that is, being nothing and everything at the same moment. So yeah, always this dance of the polarities and finding there the 0 point in your heart again, and then it goes another round. Because what I feel, there's still a wound in the collective which doesn't acknowledge that creation means polarity. It must not mean, it doesn't have to mean duality, but polarity, we need the two, that there is creation. So
Mm.
to really deeply accept that with every cell, that polarity has to be, there has to be the for something to be created. And there the dance begins.
That's a very important distinction, I think, polarity versus duality,
Mm, mhm,
because there is polarity everywhere,
mm,
even beyond, outside of this realm. But duality is a little different.
mm,
Duality is to me like it's something you can push one way or the other. You can go, you
mhm,
can, it's like elastic, like a rubber band. You can go further out. Morgan downloaded something 3 or 4 nights ago in the midst of all these incredible sacred sexual vibrational experiences. Obviously, codes come in, downloads come in, things come in, and she was talking about when she pulled it in, the higher self, basically, and how we chose to incarnate us, you know, all of us, uh, to experience, literally experience the extremities of duality in order to know them and then to bring them back
mhm,
to a higher truth,
mhm,
to create a higher truth. I
mhm,
really like the way you said that about the role of creation, or the connection or correlation between duality and polarity in terms of creation. Uh, I was thinking too, when I asked that about the Christ consciousness, there's there's like, for instance, the sacred union frequency. And Morgan wrote this many years ago. The sacred union frequency, divine feminine, divine masculine, sacred sexuality, and Christ consciousness. These are the elements. And looking back at the last 2 weeks with some of these experiences we had, and this is all telepathic for me. This is I have not even verbalized this to Morgan. But there were these moments when I could feel them all, right? Almost like they were all one. And it was quite amazing. I do remember at one point looking in her eyes and seeing her in a way I'd never seen her before, like a new familiarity.
mhm,
It was probably the most revealing gazing, into each other's eyes that I've ever had. It was, and to me, the way I would describe it was all of those elements reached an equilibrium.
mhm, mhm.
And I think for me, that's like, I was going to say that was Christ consciousness, but it's actually everything. It was all five of those elements.
Mhm.
Yeah,
It's amazing. Yeah, it's just amazing.
you are just right now.
Hmm.
You are any moment. Todd, my dear brother. You are Christ consciousness.
Mhm.
You are any moment, any second.
True.
We are all.
Mhm.
It's our truth.
It's
It's
our
our state.
birthright. Yeah,
Yeah.
It's
totally.
that what we
Yeah.
always what always is and always
Mm.
will be. It's
Mm.
and we go more deeper and deeper. We can really bring it down to the earth, and we are here as that human being, as that Christ blueprint, diamond light radiating, and we go through it.
And they all knew it, the Essenes and Yeshua Magdala, they knew it 2000 years ago that it will sprout, that they planted the seeds, and many other beings as well. It was not just
They
them.
wanted to.
So
It's always they turned everything around.
Mhm.
Also, for sure is that Yeshua and Magdalene were having a divine union there and
Yeah.
doing that work what you were speaking about,
Mm. Mm.
and working with this with divine sexual energy.
Yeah.
What is it? Sexual energy is everything at one point.
That's right.
Sexual energy
Mhm.
is totally ecstatic. It's feeling. It's
Mhm.
being in touch with everything,
Mhm.
and that's that's
Mhm.
that's where we go, and we feel. I mean, it's it's just a blessing to
Yeah.
be here in this moment, and I feel we come together also in our flesh, and we do good work.
Yeah.
Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah. The Essenes are big for me. Big, big,
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
big,
I
big.
mean, you were also talking before about the masculine energy and if there was something the last 2 weeks, and
Yeah.
definitely there was. I mean, we set it up our website,
Oh yeah.
and that was also something going out.
What's the name of your website?
It's indigenoussoul.earth.
In Indigenous Souls.
Soul,
So Indigenous Soul
Dot.
dot Indigenous Soul dot what?
Earth,
Earth. Okay.
Earth.
That's pretty cool. I just put
Yeah,
it on all the platforms. Did it work? Yeah. Indigenous Soul
yeah,
dot.
that's right.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know now you said indigenous soul, but that's such a nice one, brother, because first I wanted to have the genius soul. But now there's an I
How
to
do I spell it? IND.
without the I after the N.
Indigenous.
Oh, I see. Okay,
Yeah.
yeah. No wonder it didn't come out right. Okay, ENOUS like that. Oh, you can't see it.
Oh,
Hang on, let me
yes.
do it.
Yeah, that's right.
I didn't know they had Earth as. Okay, that's it. Indigenous.
Indigenous. So yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah, it's right. Yeah.
So, and what are you guys doing? Like, so people that watch us on the live and on the replay, they're going to want to reach out to you. Um, what are you what do you have as far as offerings, for energy exchange or contribution donation? How can we support you? Do you have any music on the site? Do you have anything that you want to talk about?
Yes, so for us, this is also really new to really because we just are, we just were for many years and just being and doing as we are in everyday life
Yeah.
and survived somehow. We did it. We were always guided by spirit. But to come to the point, I really feel that I want to offer my channeling singing, my shamanic womb voice to
Yes.
channel songs, medicine songs for siblings. And I'm not yet sure how to do it, but also to do it online for sure, maybe in private sessions, Zoom sessions, or also just after a talk that I sent them something because I can tune in and I'm connected to many elders, to many indigenous souls, also soul parts of myself when I tone. And so I download these things.
Hmm.
This is for sure one thing. And then we also feel like that we want to do like online conversations with the people, like having satsang, the Indian word, where
Yes.
we just share our experience because that's what we feel. We just can share what we experienced and in a just humble and open hearted way and totally authentic. And that's what we feel we have to share. And about Christ consciousness for sure, about
Hmm.
ascension as well. So on our website, we have our email addresses put on so far so people can contact us there because, we see everything as co-creation. New Earth
Yes.
is creation. So we let it flow, we let it develop as well organically. And also like music projects, I feel open to work with musicians. I surely want to also write songs again and yeah, much to come. And
Well, maybe we can collaborate again. That would
yeah,
be cool later
We
in the
hope,
year.
totally.
brother.
Touch base with you and see what's happening. Maybe do a little musical collaboration too. But
Yeah.
speaking of that, first of all, let me just thank you both for coming in and sharing space with us. It's such a pleasure to start my day with this show. Uh, I didn't know. I didn't. I know. I think I'd seen your names, but I didn't know your energy until we got on air. But I'm so happy that we did. So, speaking of music, would you like to take us out with some music as we conclude the show?
Yeah.
Uh, yeah.
We do. And just to say, the first we're gonna chant a Nicene prayer. It was found in the Nag Hammadi script rolls. And Lars Mool, he's also a great teacher for Christ consciousness. Lars Mool, we love this brother. And he brought this back in our consciousness. And it is invoking the Merkaba, your light vehicle, with the archangels. And
Oh,
afterwards, I'm going to do a short shamanic toning as well and see what comes in, what streams in as energies. And yes, thank you all very much. And we love you, Todd, and we love you all siblings. And it's just felt like this. So I have to say. And yeah, thank you very much, brother. I mean,
thank you.
yes, just thank you. Nothing more to say. Issa, you maybe?
Yes. Blessings,
Yes,
dear brethren of the
thank you.
one. It's it's a it's a great time,
Yeah.
and yeah, today second, the four, the archangels. So we we will chant that prayer, bringing in the spirits.
So maybe you can again.
First. Also, this Aramaic Essene prayer. We are very connected also to Aim, and we chant the Beshem Adonai, and also this language, the Mother Father Hour in Aramaic, is very present. Also through Lars, who made his work, and Douglas,
The Abun.
the Avun, the Bishmaya.
Mhm.
So yeah, it's an ancient language, and there is a lot of information in it.
Mm, mhm.
Avun is Mother Father Creator. Avun, Avun the Bishmaya, Avun the Bishmaya, Avun the Bishmaya.
Maybe you close your eyes again and center yourself. Feel your breath, feel your being, feel your beautiful body temple as we invoke the archangels, the Merkaba. Beshem Adonai.
Hashem Adonai,
Beshem Adonai.
Hashem Adonai,
Yameni Michael.
Yamin Michael,
Unismoli Gabriel. Unilifana Uriel.
Lifana Uriel,
Uniakobai Raphael. Leal Rashi Shechinael. Levan Levi Yeshua.
Devi Yeshua,
Eva Levi Magdalena,
Eva Levi Magdalena,
Eva Levi Yeshua,
Eva Levi Yeshua,
Eva Levi Magdalena,
Eva Levi Magdalena.
Ai como beata naia te akaramaya tua tawa. Ai amakea. Oi que poitikoia. I kupayate. Ai shakushu. Ai shakatu.
Whew. That was incredible. Thank God I have 36 minutes till the next show so I can go lay down and integrate it.
Thank you so much, brother.
Thank you so much. I love you both. Thank you
Love
for
you,
coming
brother.
in. Yeah, I look forward to collaborating with you again later in the year. And
Yes.
good. Yeah, all blessings to you and yours and your endeavors and everyone. Let's get over to indigenoussoul.earth and support our brother and sister. And yeah, until the next time.
Blessings, brother. We love you. Say
Love you
hello to
too.
Morgan. Hug her from us.
I
Yes.
will. I will do
Thank
that.
you. Bye
You
bye.
take